picture this. You're standing on the driving range. The sun is out. The turf is absolutely perfect, and you are just flushing it.
Oh, the best feeling in the world.
Right. I mean, every iron shot is a laser. Your driver is just painting the center of this imaginary fairway. You feel completely untouchable.
Like you finally definitively figured out the secret to your golf swing.
Exactly. But then, 20 minutes later, you step onto the first tee, you tee up the ball, take the exact same swing, and you just watch your drive violently slice into the woods.
It's brutal. The magic is just gone.
Completely gone. And you're left wondering why that range swing never seems to survive the walk to the first tee. Well, welcome to the deep dive. Today we are looking at a stack of biomechanics research and performance psychology to answer one vital question. How do you actually build a golf swing that travels from the practice mat to the real world?
Yeah, that gap between the driving range and the golf course, I mean, that is the universal frustration of the game. We always naturally assume that the pressure of the course is what broke our swing.
Right, like we just choked.
Exactly, but the reality highlighted in our sources is usually much harsher. The swing was never truly reliable in the first place. It was merely, functional in a zero-pressure environment. So our mission for you listening today is to bridge that gap. We really want to move you away from endlessly tinkering with your mechanics and help you build true, evidence-based reliability.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we dive into the physical mechanics, we have to tear down what our sources identify as the single most destructive mental roadblock in the sport.
Oh, yeah. The pursuit of the perfect swing.
Yes, the perfect swing.
It's a complete trap. I mean, the search for perfection only exists in theory. When you look at the data tracking the best elite professionals in the world, they are absolutely not hitting every shot perfectly. They miss fairways all the time.
You miss greens, too.
Right. They hit shots off the toe and the heel of the club. They are human.
So wait, if the pros are missing just like a weekend amateur misses, what actually separates them?
Well, the difference is entirely in predictability. An elite player's mistakes are highly calculated. A pro misses their target by, say, 4 yards. A recreational golfer misses by 40 yards.
That is a massive difference.
It is, because professional golfers aren't out there trying to build a swing that never fails. They are building a swing that reduces their overall variability. They're managing what we call their dispersion, which is basically the mathematical footprint of all your misses.
The mathematical footprint, I like that.
Yeah, so if your dispersion is tight, you know generally where the ball is going, even on a really bad swing.
I hear that, but let me play devil's advocate for a second. If I'm listening to this, I'm spending good money on range balls, new drivers, maybe even coaching. Am I really supposed to just accept that I'll never have that picture-perfect Adam Scott-style golf swing?
It definitely feels a bit like giving up, right?
Yeah, it feels like settling for average. Yeah.
But it isn't giving up at all. It is actively optimizing for peak performance. We are shifting the target away from an impossible aesthetic ideal and moving toward a functional reality.
Making it actually work on the course.
Exactly. When you reduce your variability and tighten that mathematical footprint of misses we talked about, you suddenly know what the golf ball is going to do. And when you know what the ball will do, your confidence naturally spikes.
And when confidence spikes, scores drop.
Right. It's not about settling for a mediocre swing. It's about optimizing for the real world where the wind blows and the pressure mounts.
I like to think about it like cars, because a lot of golfers are out there trying to build a Formula One car of a golf swing.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. Because an F1 car is technically flawless. It is insanely fast, but it is incredibly fragile. I mean, if the track temperature drops 5 degrees or there's a slight bump, the whole thing just spins into the wall.
And golf has a lot of bumps.
Exactly. What you actually need to score well is a highly reliable daily commuter car. It doesn't need to look flawless on camera. It just needs to survive bad weather, terrible lies in the rough, and, the absolute terror of the 18th tee box.
The commuter car is repeatable. And in this game, consistency doesn't come from visual perfection. It comes entirely from repeatability. But a major hurdle to finding that repeatability is the massive disconnect between feel and real.
This is a wild concept to me. What we feel like our body is doing is basically lying to us.
Often, yes. What a golfer feels they're doing during a swing is wildly different from the physical reality. You might feel like you are making a massive swing change, dramatically altering your path.
Like you're completely overhauling it.
Right, but if you look at it on video, you've moved the club maybe half an inch, Human perception is incredibly flawed at high speeds, so you cannot rely solely on how a swing feels to diagnose a
We
problem.
need actual data.
You have to use objective feedback. You need to look at actual ball flight, listen to the contact quality, and use visual analysis, like recording your swing on video.
Because if what we feel is lying to us, then trying to fix our swing based on a bad feeling leads to that classic trap the text warns about, fixing symptoms instead of the actual root cause.
And that is exactly where the endless, frustrating cycle of tinkering comes from. A golfer sees their ball slice violently to the right, and they think, well, I need to aggressively manipulate my hands to close the club face.
Which makes sense logically, right?
It does, but a slice is usually just a symptom. The root cause is almost always poor sequencing in the body, like starting the downswing by spinning the shoulders instead of shifting weight in the lower body.
Oh, I see people do that all the time.
Yeah, so if you just flip your hands to fix the symptom, you are now stacking a brand new compensation on top of a foundational flaw.
It's like trying to fix a leaky pipe by just painting over the water stain on your ceiling. The hand manipulation is just the paint, but the poor body sequencing is the broken pipe.
Perfect way to put it.
So, if fixing the root pipe is the goal, the text shows that this journey really has to start before the club even moves.
It all begins with setup and balance. I mean, balance is the ultimate test of a functional setup. If you are standing over the ball and your weight is heavily on your toes, you are standing too far from the ball.
And if you're rocking back on your heels,
Then you are too close.
and if you don't have balance at address, your brain's survival instinct kicks in, right? Like it takes over.
Precisely. If you are off balance, your brain will instinctively force your body to alter its path during the swing just to keep you from falling on your face.
That's crazy.
It is. Your central nervous system literally overrides your golf mechanics. But if you start from a perfectly balanced setup, you can access the next critical biomechanical piece: rotation versus sliding.
I see people swaying off the ball all the time trying to load up power.
Moving the hips laterally away from the target during the backswing. Sliding, basically, it feels really powerful, but it is destructive.
Why is it so bad?
Because when you slide, you pull your arms out of connection with your torso, and you drastically change the angle of your spine. To get the club head back to the golf ball from a lateral slide requires a series of massive, perfectly timed compensations.
Which goes back to adding more variables.
Exactly. You don't want to slide. You want your energy to flow efficiently by rotating around a stable, centered spine.
Which brings us to the concept of width versus length. Let's really unpack this, because it totally defies amateur logic. People think pulling the club head back as far as humanly possible, wrapping it around their neck, is what creates swing speed.
And the biomechanics research proved that is completely false. A shorter, wider backswing is vastly superior to a long, narrow one.
Really, wider is better than longer.
Absolutely. When you push your arms too far back, past the point where your torso has physically stopped turning, your arm structure simply collapses. You lose all the tension and connection across your chest.
It just turns into spaghetti.
Yeah, instead you want to keep your arms extended, keeping the club wide and in front of your chest, even if it feels like a much shorter swing.
So to get to the actual engine of a predictable swing, the root of that power, we have to look at how that wide structure works. The text calls this the stretch cycle.
Right. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the stretch cycle is the absolute core of athletic movement. A golf swing is not a series of static poses you just click through. It is a highly dynamic chain reaction.
Like a domino effect.
Exactly. And this stretch cycle is how the human body stores and releases energy efficiently.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. Because amateur golfers try to create power with maximum physical effort. They grip the club until their knuckles turn white, and they throw their hands and arms at the ball as hard as they possibly can.
We've all been there.
Right. But elite players look like they are swinging effortlessly. It looks so smooth.
That effortless power comes entirely from the stretch cycle, not from arm strength. During the transition from the backswing to the downswing, there is a crucial fraction of a second where the lower body starts moving forward toward the target, while the upper body and club are actually still finishing their turn backward.
Wait, they're moving in opposite directions simultaneously.
Exactly. This creates a literal physical stretch across your core muscles, your lats, and your shoulders. You are pulling the anatomical rubber band taut.
Oh, I love that visual.
And then the energy transfers sequentially. It starts from the ground, moves up through the legs, into the hips, the torso, the late arm, and finally whipping the club head through the ball.
So the arms are just going along for the ride.
Pretty much. That sequential chain reaction generates incredible club head speed without requiring any brute muscular force from the arm.
Okay, so now that we've pulled that anatomical rubber band taut, the body has to unleash it at the moment of truth impact. And it turns out the arms aren't the primary trigger for that release either. The ground is.
The ground is your absolute greatest source of power. To get the maximum energy out of that stretch cycle we just talked about, you have to push into the ground so that the ground pushes back against you.
Right, ground reaction forces.
Exactly. In a golf swing, pressure must shift decisively into your lead foot to initiate the downswing.
We all intuitively understand this in other sports too. Like, you can't jump for a basketball rebound without bending your knees and driving your feet into the floor first. You don't just stand tall and pull your arms up.
No, you'd barely get off the ground.
Right. The harder you push down into the floor, the higher you launch. Your golf swing uses the exact same mechanism. Pushing down into that lead foot gives you explosive rotational speed without having to try harder with your upper body.
And that downward pressure into the lead side is also what allows a golfer to achieve true compression on the golf ball, which is the secret to that penetrating professional ball flight.
Let's clarify compression, though, because I know my immediate instinct when I hear downward pressure is to just chop down violently on the back of the ball with my wrists, to trap it.
Oh, yeah. And hitting down harder does not create compression. It usually just creates a steep, weak slice.
Guilty as charged.
True compression is actually created by continued body rotation. What happens to most amateur golfers is they get to the ball and their body just stalls. Their chest stops turning entirely.
And then what happens?
Well, when the body stops, momentum forces the hands to take over, flipping the club head forward. This adds loft to the club and results in weak, glancing contact.
Ah. The sources mention using the feeling of hitting a punch shot to fix this. How does that work mechanically?
The punch shot feeling is brilliant because it forces your chest to keep turning toward the target well past impact. You aren't hammering the ball down with your wrists. You are trapping the ball between the club face and the ground, purely through the relentless rotation of your torso.
But here's the crazy part. Even if you get the ground pressure and the rotation perfectly right, you can still hit a wicked slice.
Oh, absolutely.
Not because your swing was fundamentally bad, but because of physics. What exactly is happening with the driver head to cause that? We really need to look at what the text calls the gear effect.
The gear effect is vital to understand, especially with the driver, because the face of a driver is not actually flat. It is slightly curved.
Wait, it's not flat.
Nope. So if you make a flawless swing, but happen to strike the ball off the toe of the club, the mass of the club head physically twists backward during the collision.
And that twists the ball.
Exactly. That twisting actually imparts draw spin or hook spin on the golf ball. Conversely, if you strike the ball off the heel of the club, the face twists the opposite way, imparting massive slice spin.
Which means your swing path and your body rotation could be absolutely tour quality, but if you hit the ball half an inch too close to the heel, it is slicing into the parking lot.
And this highlights one of the most dangerous traps in the sport, confusing a poor strike with a bad swing. A golfer hits a heel strike, sees the nasty fade, and immediately goes into a spiral of technical swing changes.
They start watching YouTube videos on the range.
Right. They change their grip, they alter their swing path, and they systematically ruin a perfectly good swing. When in reality, all they needed to do was stand half an inch further from the ball to center the strike.
That is maddening.
Analyzing where the ball hit the face before changing your mechanics will save you years of frustration.
All right, so the physical engine is built. We have balance. We're rotating instead of sliding. The stretch cycle is primed. We're using the ground. And we know to check our strike location. But here's the ultimate test. Why does someone who completely understands all these mechanics still shoot an 85 or a 90 on Saturday morning?
Because the driving range is a laboratory, but the golf course is a real-world examination. And the psychological skills required to pass that examination are entirely different from the physical skills required to hit a ball on the range.
We are talking about transitioning from being just a golfer who obsesses over mechanics to being a player who actually scores. And our sources dive deep into the performance psychology required to make that leap, starting with the massive difference between range thinking and course thinking.
On the range, you can afford to have your brain overloaded. You are thinking about your grip, your wrist angles, your hip depth. But on the course, if you are standing over the ball running through a complex 10-point mechanical checklist, your nervous system is going to freeze.
It's just too much information.
Exactly. The human brain cannot successfully process that much conscious mechanical thought while also trying to athletically react to a specific target. On the course, your focus must shift completely away from mechanics and onto execution.
To do that, the text lays out a very specific 5-step process to use before every single shot. Decide, visualize, feel, commit, learn. Let's slow down and actually explore why this sequence works so well. Step 1 is decide. You clearly define the exact shot you want to hit. But step 2, visualize. This isn't just daydreaming, is it?
No, visualization is a biological primer. When you actually see the trajectory, see the curve, and picture the ball landing, you are actively priming your motor cortex to execute that specific movement.
It's like sending instructions to the muscles.
It tells your muscles exactly what to prepare for. Then step 3 is feel, where you physically rehearse the tempo of the swing.
Which leads right into step 4, commit.
Commitment is where most shots are ruined before the club goes back. Indecision creates physical tension. If you stand over the ball thinking, should I be hitting an 8-iron or a 7-iron? Or don't hit it in the water, your muscles tighten.
And tension ruins the swing.
That tension instantly destroys the fluid strip cycle we just talked about. Your rotation stops and the swing breaks down. A fully committed swing with the wrong club will always produce a better strike than a doubtful, uncommitted swing with the perfect club.
Now we skip the learn step. Usually a golfer's learn phase involves getting furious and throwing a wedge into the trees. What is that 5th step actually supposed to look like?
The learn phase is about objective assessment to stop an emotional spiral. When a shot goes sideways, you don't panic and rewrite your swing. You objectively scan the variables. Was my alignment off? Did I fail to commit to the target? Did I just strike it on the heel?
You treat the bad shot as data.
Yes. You log it and move on to the next shot.
And a big part of that learning process is accepting your natural shot pattern, right? Elite players don't fight their tendencies, they manage them.
What's fascinating here is if your natural, comfortable stock shot is a 10-yard draw, you don't stand on the 18th tee trying to manufacture a high fade just because the fairway curves to the right.
You play what you have.
You aim down the right side of the tree line and you trust your draw. You manage your predictable dispersion.
But managing that takes serious mental control. Because the pressure on the course isn't just in your head, it's a real physiological event.
Oh, it's very real. When pressure hits, your heart rate actually spikes, your muscles get rigid, and your breathing becomes shallow. This is why having a physical breathing routine isn't just some abstract New Age advice, it is a biological necessity.
The text details a specific routine to handle this. You stand behind the ball, focusing purely on the target. You take a slow, deep breath in through the nose. You pause briefly, and then you exhale very slowly.
That slow exhale is the critical trigger. It literally signals your parasympathetic nervous system to calm down. It shifts your focus away from the internal distractions, the mechanical doubts, the fear of the bunker, and directs your attention entirely outward onto the target.
It just clears the noise.
It clears the static so your body can execute the athletic motion it already knows how to do.
So what does this all mean for the listener's next practice session? How do you actually train this?
It means you have to fundamentally change how you utilize the driving range. Raking another ball over and hitting the same 7-iron to the same target 50 times in a row is great for technical maintenance, but it does absolutely nothing to build on-course confidence. You need to implement target-oriented practice.
You have to treat the range like the course. You hit a driver to a simulated fairway. Then you step back, change clubs, pull out a 6-iron, go through your entire 5-step routine and pick a specific green.
You are actively simulating the pressure of a round. Because true confidence isn't just waking up and feeling good about your game. True confidence is evidence. It is the historical proof built through rigorous, target-oriented preparation.
So when you practice making decisions, visualizing, and fully committing to targets on the range, you accumulate that evidence.
Exactly. So when you step onto the course, you aren't crossing your fingers and hoping for a good swing. You are simply relying on the bank of evidence you've already built.
Okay, we have covered a massive amount of ground today. Let's distill the ultimate lessons from this masterclass. First and foremost, stop chasing the myth of perfect positions. It is keeping you stuck. Instead, build a repeatable swing based on balance, rotation around a stable spine, width, and pushing into the ground to utilize the stretch cycle.
Couldn't have said it better.
Second, understand your equipment. Check your strike location before you tear your mechanics apart. And finally, transition from being a mechanic to being a player. Stop practicing like a robot. Manage your natural shot pattern. Use your breathing to counter physiological pressure, and commit completely to every single target.
Making that transition from technical obsession to target-oriented trust is incredibly liberating. It's where the game actually becomes fun.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final concept to mull over. Our sources prove that elite golfers succeed not by magically eliminating their flaws, but by making those flaws completely undeniably predictable. They build true confidence through evidence-based predictability, which raises a fascinating question that goes far beyond the golf course.
It really does.
If true confidence is just trusting your predictable outcomes, how might applying this exact framework, documenting, understanding, and actually trusting your predictable mistakes, rather than chasing an impossible, flawless ideal, completely transform your approach to your career, your relationships, or your next big life goal? Something to think about next time you're standing on the tee box. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.